Hackers don't need to break into your wallet to steal everything. They just need your phone number. And guys, once they have it, the damage happens really fast. This video is extremely important. Your emails, your bank accounts, your crypto apps, all hijacked in minutes.
Now, if you have just SMS set up, then you're toast at that point. Like they'll just take control of it. They're going to reset your passwords. They're probably then going to go after your bank, your email, your iCloud, your cloud, all those things you don't want them to go after.
And guys, even if you're using authenticator apps, you're not safe.
So plenty of people are getting their authenticator apps reset as well.
My guest today knows this problem better than almost anybody. Mark Kreitzman is a chief cyber evangelist of Efani, a premium mobile carrier built for people who cannot afford to have their phone numbers compromised. Investors, executives, entrepreneurs, anyone handling sensitive assets, or for anyone who just wants to protect their accounts, their crypto, their privacy, their emails, etc. He spent over 25 years in cybersecurity, built multiple security companies that were acquired by Microsoft and Cisco, and today leads Efani's mission to stop SIM swaps with military-grade protection. He's here to explain why attackers target your phone number and the devastating real-world cases he's seen firsthand.
You remember when the SEC announced the Bitcoin ETF? They made an error and they announced it early.
Yep.
So that was a number swap. So somebody at the SEC who controlled their X.com account had their number stolen.
That's how high the stakes are. If it could happen to the SEC, it can definitely happen to you, which is why Efani doesn't just offer protection, they back every account with insurance.
Security, that's like the most important thing we do. And then we back it up with a $5 million insurance policy from Lloyd's of London.
If your phone number is the key to your digital life, this is the one upgrade that could save you from an absolute disaster. And because you're watching here today, you can get started with an exclusive discount, guys. Use a link below to lock in the $99 off of a Efani plan. Check it out down below, guys. This is super critical. I don't normally do these dedicated channel partner videos, but security is of the utmost importance. I'm using Efani now. It was a no-brainer to do it. It cost me basically nothing else over my normal provider, but I get all these upside benefits that you're about to check out right now. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into this. It's really, really critical that you watch it for your security and for your safety. All right, Mark, welcome to the channel. It's really good to have you here. Guys, as I said in the intro, this is something that, personally for me, I'm very excited to bring to you guys, as it's one of the most critical things when it comes down to security. As you guys know, we talk a lot about, 2FA and hardware wallets and these kind of things. But one of them actually just yesterday, the day before, I just saw a bunch of these attempts of people getting into my Google accounts, and if they had, done a SIM swap on me, they probably would be able to do that by resetting my Google account. So, this to me, even just as of yesterday, is something that I'm very aware of. And, so Mark, maybe you can just kind of tell people exactly what is a SIM swap for people who aren't familiar with it, and, how does it work? And then what's kind of the dangers around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, thanks for having me on. And I love bringing awareness to people. We're big supporters of the crypto space, and certainly security and your ability to hold on to your crypto is important to all of us, but especially individuals. So in terms of what a mobile SIM swap is a lot of people know what the legal definition of, because we've all traded phones in. So for example, you have an iPhone 12 and you go to the Apple store tomorrow and you get your iPhone 16. And when you're setting it up, you say, okay, I just want to move my line from the iPhone 12 over to the iPhone 16. And that's what's called a port over or a SIM swap. And so that's the legal version. Mm-hmm. Now, the illegal version is when a nefarious person is doing that exact same thing, except they're moving your mobile account from your iPhone 12 or whatever you have over to the phone that's in their hand. And then once they can be your next door neighbor, they could be in the same city, but they could also be 4,000 miles away. And there's also cases where there's like UK gangs that have been arrested for SIM swapping people in the US. So you can be on the other side of the world as well and execute these. But basically what they're doing is they're getting your carrier to port your mobile account from pointing to your phone over to their phone they now have control to be able to do a lot of bad things to you.
So basically, you know, these attackers are able to gain access to your phone calls and your text messages. So guys, think about all your 2FAs. When you get your confirmation code, you're logging in, it wants you to do SMS verification, or they call you for verification. A lot of times your emails and everything else like that are also backed up through SMS or these kind of things. So when it comes down to the crypto world, how do you see a lot of these SIM swaps being used? And maybe you can tell us a couple just, stories of what has happened.
Yeah, so they mainly, in order to steal your crypto, you have to have crypto on, an online exchange, wallet, Coinbase, Bitfinex, these, plenty of them. And most people, if not all, even if you have cold storage, they need an on ramp, off ramp, so they've got these accounts, and they'll typically have something in them. And so the SIM swappers going after crypto, they want to steal your mobile account away. They've now control your voice, your text, your data. And if you've been targeted, they may have done all the research on you of what wallets you use, what apps you use, and certainly there's a lot of people that post that kind of information about themselves on the internet, social media, and they're just going to go password reset. They're going to go forgot my password, even if they don't know what your top crypto apps are, but they know that you're into crypto. They'll just go through the top 20 exchanges and apps, and it's just simply forgot password. They're looking for a reaction. Now, if you have just SMS set up, then you're toast at that point. Like they'll just take control of it. They're going to reset your passwords. They're probably then going to go after your bank, your email, your iCloud, your cloud, all those things you don't want them to go after. And if you've got an authenticator app and they're professional enough, they get into your email. There have been a lot of cases where, because I talk to a lot of the victims that come into Efani, and so I'm sort of like the security nerd. I've been doing cybersecurity since around 2000, and so we want to hear about the different attacks. And so plenty of people are getting their authenticator apps reset as well, and it's just a matter of enough time. If you're sleeping, you're playing golf for 4 or 5 hours, you're on a flight to Tokyo, you given them enough time, and they can just dig and dig. And now there's a lot of people. I'm starting to talk to a lot of victims who were lucky enough where everything was on cold storage, but they get hit elsewhere, and so other things happen sort of indirectly. So imagine somebody gets into your main personal email, and all they got to do is attach an app to that and download the last 3 years of your email. Now they've got tax returns, wire transfers, all these potential notifications of the authenticator apps, of crypto apps, just all your personal things, medical, taxes, everything. And at that point, you now have to worry for the next 10 years. What are they going to do to me? And so I'm a victim in 2018, and it's one of the reasons Efani started. So myself and the CEO were both mobile SIM swap victims, and I still to this day have to worry, is there going to be a loan put out in my name based on information that could have been stolen in 2018?
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, because you already alluded to it, but can you go into a little bit more depth about the other kind of dangers, risks, possibilities for even non-crypto users or people like?
So email is one of them. Yeah. And certainly if email is one of them, and a lot of people will have emails connected, like they're backups of each other. And so I've talked to people where 3-4 emails have been completely taken over in a matter of 15, 20 minutes. I had a conversation with a VIP out of Canada who got SIM swapped. They got into his iCloud and all of his photos, and apparently whatever it was, they started to send him blackmail messages, and were trying, threatening basically to try and destroy him. And so the motivations for some of these people, it can be money, it could be reputation, but it can be divorces, it can be just pure harassment, and it could be just somebody that's just motivated by I can do it, so I'm bored. What else am I going to do in the next hour? And but the ways you can get harmed are beyond money, and then there's acts like do you remember when the SEC announced the Bitcoin ETF? They made an error and they announced it early.
Yep.
So that was a number swap. So somebody at the SEC who controlled their X.com account had their numbers stolen. They took over the
No
X.com.
way. Wow.
And so these hackers then posted that. So imagine the amount of money that was made and lost in that first hour.
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
they could, they load up, post it, let Bitcoin rise, sell it, and people were panicking in both directions for 2 hours after that.
That's funny.
I've got there's another one where these co-founders, they were in a crypto company, and one of them was still on his father's mobile plan. And so somebody impersonated his father at a store. So they go in, impersonate the father, and they order a phone and a line off of their account. Then they leave the store. They go to some other location, call the 800 number from a line and a phone off of the family plan. And then they say, I want to move this phone number over to my new phone I just bought. And so, it's much easier to verify when you're calling on a number and a phone that is on that account. And they took over one of the co-founders' accounts, and then they launched the token, a fake token for sale. And so, most of the people that are listening to this don't have the opportunity to have that kind of damage done to them. But just simply if they can get into your email, it's a big thing that you then have to worry about that being sold for years.
Well, to me, when we first started talking about Efani and kind of what it was as a service, it's like regardless of how concerned you may or may not be about these SIM swaps, like they are a real danger, and clearly Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile aren't doing a very good job at preventing these things from happening. But to me, one of the most interesting things was like Efani as a service. This also makes a lot of sense. And then you have the benefits of the protection of the SIM swapping and the insurance, which I would like you to go into. But like, can you just talk about the service and how it works? So right now I'm on T-Mobile. Someone might be on AT&T or Verizon who's watching this, whatever. But like, so they actually swap over to Efani as their primary cell phone provider, right? Maybe you could just tell people how that works a little bit, and then the security that goes into it. And then also let's just talk about like the plan on how it works, because it's not any more expensive than my normal provider. So to me, it all makes sense. You get the awesome protection. I think you talked a little bit when we talked, refresh my memory too, about the, like local data and using multiple service providers versus like the primary one I think you were talking about, but just like the service in general and yeah.
Yeah, I'll do the mobile service to start with. So what we do is fairly simple. We're set up as a reseller of AT&T and Verizon. And so I'm going to use AT&T as an example. So no matter what carrier you're on, if you port it over to Efani, if you want our security, we have to own the account and so that we can secure it and insure it. And so let's say you port your number over and you select the AT&T network. So on our mobile, you would no longer pay AT&T for one. We become your mobile service provider, and we provide the customer support. It's by phone, chat, email. It's 7/24. And the service you would get is you would get to use the AT&T network, and you get voice, data, text in US, Canada, Mexico. We also enable Wi-Fi calling globally, and this is no additional cost. And what that means is that if you've got one of the newer phones made in the last 4 or 5 years, it has a little toggle switch in the settings, enable Wi-Fi calling. So you turn that on, and you could be anywhere in the world. I could be in Bali, Indonesia. I could be in Phuket, Thailand. If I've got a Wi-Fi connection, somebody calls my Efani number, it will ring and I can pick it up and it's free. And I can call back to the US for free. And the other thing that we throw in that's also part of the plan is 10 gigabytes of international data roaming. So not only if I went to Indonesia or Thailand or El Salvador, when I land, I'm going to have high-speed data, and that 10 gigabytes is free. And so you can land at the airport and you can call your Uber and chat, call people on WhatsApp and all of that. You have the Wi-Fi calling, so you can use your voice. Your SMSs will work as well, but you have that Wi-Fi calling. And then we have these two sort of extra benefits. And so one of them is we have a dual eSIM setup. So if your phone can handle dual eSIM, then and it's no additional cost. What we can do is we would put like AT&T in the eSIM 1, and that would be for your voice and text. And then in eSIM slot 2, we would give you our international global data roaming SIM. It's data only.
Nice.
And we've got nearly 500 carriers that are part of that. And that will roam around the world. And so even inside the US, it will expand your coverage because it's going to roam across the different carriers. So in a sense, your data is no longer like AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile. You're going to roam across all of those. Now, if you went to Thailand, you're going to roam across DTAC, AIS, True. If you go to Australia, do the same thing. And so you're going to have great coverage. And so our philosophy is we want people to stay connected all around the world, to try and do that for the cheapest that we can. There's some things we do that make it expensive to operate, and that's the security part of it. But there's even more that can be included. If you have an iPhone 13 or higher, because we enable the Wi-Fi calling feature, iOS has enabled a feature that we work with that allows you to now do Wi-Fi calling over that second data eSIM we provide. And what that means is that I could be pretty much in 175 different countries. If people call me, I don't even need a Wi-Fi connection anymore.
Right.
That call is going to come in over that second data eSIM, and I can pick it up. It's free, and I can call back to the US for free. And so if you've got an iPhone 13 or higher, like Efani with AT&T, Wi-Fi calling, this dual eSIM setup is an absolute no-brainer. We've got a special ops team that switched to this dual eSIM because they do operations throughout Mexico and Central America, and they tested that dual eSIM setup directly against carriers, and they came back after one of their trips down there and said it was a game changer because they lost connectivity, but our data SIM picked up two different carriers. But we've had people take trips to Tokyo and other places with that dual eSIM, and they love landing, and it's just seamless. And you avoid that $10 per day, and that's one of the reasons why it's so beneficial to like anyone who travels for business or work or digital nomads. I love to travel. I've been in 8 countries in the last year, and I use it everywhere. And so I haven't had to pay any kind of roaming fees. I don't have to pay that $10. But beyond that, of course, the security is the main reason to buy us. And so the last thing you want to happen is land in Vietnam to find out that your mobile account was stolen away and that they had control over it for 19 hours. And so the main thing that we do is that SIM swap security. So and that's through basically we just do everything manual. It's all humans. So when you port your number over to Efani, one of the weaknesses of the industry is that we can port your number over to Efani without having to talk to your carrier and without you having to talk to your carrier.
Uh-huh.
And so the carriers have, and all the resellers, we all have portals, and they've made it super easy to just port numbers back and forth, because it's like if you want to leave T-Mobile or AT&T or Mint Mobile, they just want to make it like no cost to them. So Efani, like others, we just need a couple bits of information, don't need to talk to the carrier, can port you over. Now, one of the differences, once we port you over, we unplug you from that.
Right.
And everything we do from that point is manual. The verification's manual. We have, for the risky transactions, like a port out, if somebody wanted to port out, like if they were moving to Europe or something, and they couldn't use us anymore, then they would go through 11 steps. And then we also allow people to create a custom step. So it can be 12 steps. And so I would say probably about 30% of the people utilize that 12 step. And that could be send me an email here, verify another way. We have a celebrity out of LA that's got a team of 12 people around her, and for any of those people, the whole team is using Efani. And for any of those people to make a change, we actually have to go through the lawyer.
Yeah.
And the lawyer is the one that controls it. And that's the way we do it with businesses as well. So we're starting to close hedge funds and things like that. But that SIM swap security, that's like the most important thing we do. And then we back it up with a $5 million insurance policy from Lloyd's of London.
So how
and
does
it's
that
never
work?
been used.
Never been used. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's
So, but if
basically,
you did get SIM swapped, so let's say you took a trip to Singapore,
uh-huh.
and while you're there, your mobile account gets stolen away. You get 100,000 of Bitcoin stolen. You now have to deal with uh, travel and some expenses possibly to deal with this. Uh, that insurance policy is going to cover those kind of expenses. But it's our job to make sure that insurance policy never gets utilized. Our business is almost as simple as just we provide a great mobile service with the best global connectivity included with no price. And then our job is to make sure that insurance policy is never utilized. And because of that, you get protected because
Right.
that's our reputation. That's our business.
How long
And
have you, Mark, how long have you guys been doing this? And then what's your, like, I think when we first talked, you told me about the retention rate. I thought that was a pretty impressive stat.
yeah, so our CEO was mobile SIM swapped 3 times in in early and mid 2018. I got SIM swapped around mid 2018. We didn't know each other at the time, but I figured somebody had to solve it. So sort of, contacted each other, and he was he was part of a group building one of the bigger Bitcoin ATM networks in the world, and I was already into crypto and Bitcoin. And in fact, that SIM swap, I lost 2.5 Bitcoin.
Wow.
And at 2018, it was like I didn't put up a huge fight because I didn't think Bitcoin was going to go to
Uh-huh.
you know
Yeah.
112,000. But now every day I have to do the math.
Yeah.
Um, and so and so he actually created a virtual network service, mobile service for himself. Very expensive way to do it, but he was tired of getting SIM swapped. He was a big target, and so I called him up and we hit it off. And then I just said, like, this is what I do. I've helped um, co-founders build companies, and they one sold to Microsoft, another one sold to Cisco Systems, and these were cybersecurity companies for enterprise. And I told him this is what we do. So at the very end of 2018, he's like, what should we do? And I said, we need to change the name. So it was Don't Port, and it was just sort of a side project for him. We changed it to Efani as a temporary 30-day sort of name change, and then we got so used to it that in the final day, he's like, should we keep it? And I'm like, hold on a second. And I did a Google search on the word Efani and the meaning of it, and it was like enlightenment and like 4 or 5 words like that. I was like, oh, we can't give this up now. It's we'll stick with Efani. So we've been in business now over 6 years.
And the retention rate?
The retention rate is 98%. So we've got a churn rate of 2%. The next closest mobile operator is probably like 25%. So we're breaking records, and we also don't do contracts. So we're doing 98% retention rate with no contracts. You can do month to month, and then you can upgrade to annual at any time, and you save almost 2 months of billing if you do the annual. And we just have one plan. So the most important thing is that you buy Efani for the right reason.
Right.
And that's why we like to go through people like you who understand the crypto space and understand how important Bitcoin is. And then we get this message to the right people. Because if you have nothing to lose, if you don't have a reputation to lose, then you might as well just be like on Mint Mobile. But if you do have something to lose, then that's where Efani comes in, and you get that peace of mind with the insurance. And so we only do one plan, and we do that because we want to keep our expenses just as clean as possible. You start trying to complicate with different tiers, and it makes it more expensive to operate. And so we built the plan that we want to be on. And then we have add-ons, so you can, for $15 a month, you can add on a world calling plan. And so what that does is that if you're in the U.S., you can call Germany, Spain, and but if you travel and you're behind a Wi-Fi network, that means that behind a Wi-Fi network anywhere in the world, then you can call Germany, Spain as well, and you can also call locally. And then if you have the iPhone 13 and above, and you're on the world calling plan, then you don't even need Wi-Fi connectivity. You can call that local restaurant in Singapore. You can call your buddy in Germany, and it's no additional cost. We do have a $10 a day roaming package that we pass through AT&T, but The number of people that are using that on Efani now is very limited, just because our customer base, I would say the majority of people are using the iPhone 13 and above,
Yeah.
and so they just don't
Sure.
have to do it.
And
We
so
have
that
tons of Androids as well, but
But that means though that I mean, what you're saying by the iPhone 13 above is like usually that dual SIM capability, right? The dual eSIM.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah,
So so
absolutely.
pretty much any phone within the last 3-4 years is going to have this dual eSIM capability.
Yeah, even the Samsungs, the Androids, the ones that have built recently, can handle two active eSIMs. It's just that you get the advantage of the 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 global data SIM. The only thing you lose is that um, the ability to roam around the world without having to be connected to Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And
And that,
and my,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the only rationalization I can come up with how Apple can do this and Android can't is that Apple has complete leverage against all these carriers, and so they allow this feature. And we're one of we're the only company that we know of that we're actually enabling this feature and allowing them to use it. But Android, I don't think they have the leverage with the carriers, and that international calling is a lot of money to them. And
Yeah.
so that's really the con when you're using Efani, that the iPhone is much better. But even our plan on Android is
So
still awesome.
the data SIM. So that you like the first plan, the $99, that's for your primary line, right? And then is the second data SIM costs extra money? And then how does that work
You
when
know,
you're no?
the dual eSIM's included and it's optional, so you don't have to do it.
Well, of course.
But
Why
if your
wouldn't?
phone can handle the dual eSIM, we give you the dual eSIM for free.
And then how does it work when
We
you're
give you that.
roaming overseas? Is there some sort of charges there or something, or for that
No,
second data?
you get 10
Wow.
gigabytes of international
Okay.
data roaming for free. So if
And
you,
that's
like I said,
10 a
like
month,
if
right?
you per month, yep.
Yep. Okay. And what
And
if we need to get an extra 10 or something like that? Do you have
you know,
add-on packages?
I would say the majority of time, if somebody called, if you were in Singapore and you texted us and or called us and said, "Hey, I ran out," we would just give you another one.
Okay.
If it became like a pattern or it was like, okay, I need a third one, then we might charge. But what we found is that by doing things like giving the free international data away, it
Hmm.
reduces all the costs of like having to bill like small
Yeah.
amounts, and track it and manage all that. Like, and we really don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
And it's just easier to just give it away for
Yeah. And
free.
I found that, the only time that you're actually using that 10 gigs is like when you're in your taxis, you're going from point A to point B. But like, most of the time when you go in you're in your hotel or you're at a coffee shop or whatever, and they'll have Wi-Fi. So even like, I usually end up buying like when right now, before I was using Efani, I usually go and do like, get 20, 30 gigs for a month, but I would look back and realize I only use like 5 or 6 of them or something. So that makes a lot of sense. Uh,
Yeah, you can always buy your own local data eSIM too. Like the eSIMs now, you can actually put 8 eSIMs on your phone,
oh, wow.
and you can only have two active at the same time. So, and I have a phone with I don't know how many. I mean, I have so many eSIMs on it from all the countries,
Hmm.
and so I like to experiment around and before our dual eSIM, I think that's where most of my eSIMs came from. Now I don't have to do it just because our eSIM will go from Thailand to Singapore to Vietnam to London, wherever I'm going to go.
So, Mark, I mean, everything sounds great. Like, is there any, like, do you have like a number one complaint from the users, or like, is there any type of like negative setback? I guess maybe if people, are in an area where AT&T is not great or something, with maybe only T-Mobile strong, that's going to be a setback. But like, are there any kind of complaints that you typically get from customers, or just any downside to this? Because like, I mean, other than like what you said, I mean, I guess you're going to get a better deal if you've got 5 family members and you got a family plan from T-Mobile or something. But for people who actually have something to lose, like the insurance, like the SIM swap, uh, yeah, any downsides?
Yeah, I would say price is that really like it depends on the person, right? Because a lot of people just they'll pay a lot for security.
Yeah,
But for to go, if we wanted to go after the mass market, the downside is the price. And again, that's why I say like you have to have something to lose in order to really justify it. Also, the fact that we today we don't do family plans.
Mhm.
Now, one of the reasons for that is just because we're providing the $5 million insurance. If you've got a family of like 4, and the husband or the wife controls like all the banking and all of that, you can just connect the bank and the emails and things
Yeah.
to that one line. So there'll be families of like 5 people, and it will be like either the husband gets it, either the wife gets it, or the husband and wife, and then they just put their kids on Mint Mobile or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but we're starting to get, and also if you buy 5 lines or more, there's also an auto discount on the checkout page. And so
Okay.
you will get that as well. In fact, it's a good time to kind of throw in that we love supporting communities that are not only talking about crypto and helping people invest, but also educating them on like cold storage and in this topic, avoiding mobile SIM swaps and all of that. So we like to give communities like yours a discount, and so that's what we're giving your community. And so if you could at this point, edit in a link down here below so people could take advantage of it. But if you follow that link and you choose the monthly option, there's nothing to manually enter. You just follow that link, and the discount will be auto applied. And if you purchase monthly, it makes your second month free. It's at a value of $99. And then if you go with the annual pricing, the annual price of $999 goes down to $900. So you would get
Cool.
AT&T or Verizon at $900 with all the security, with this data roaming SIM. But I would say the biggest weakness, it comes to that family plan. That's probably the biggest complaint.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so,
and some people want us to have T-Mobile as well, but T-Mobile, right? Like we're not trustful yet in terms of T-Mobile's ability to protect themselves.
okay.
And so that would be another story. But
Okay.
our typical customers already paying for AT&T or
Yeah.
Verizon.
And Mark, so they would go to the link, they would sign up that way, and then is there the actual process to do the port, right? So someone's on one of these other US carriers right now, they want to port over to Efani. Is that a video call with you guys? They sign up on the website. Like, what's the process to get that started, and how long does it take? And
Yeah, so basically what you're doing when you go to the website and you want to buy there, because it's encrypted, it's private, and even inside of Efani, it's a need to know basis. Through that purchase process, you will create an Efani account, and in that account there'll be an activation scheduling link. And so you would schedule a link. Now, I would say it depends on what day and what week. We're starting to get busy, but right now we can do a lot of activations within sometimes same day, but 24 hours. But some people will schedule 2, 3, 4 days out. But then what we do is we assign an activation manager to work directly with you. And so you're welcome to make that a video call. We like doing video calls because we want to build a relationship with people, and we want
right.
them to have that, feel like they have a relationship with us. But you can do audio if you want, and you just need a Wi-Fi connection at the time. And that's what these activation people do every day, all day, is they port people over, and they take you through the steps, and once you get ported over, then you are secure, insured, and you have global connectivity as part of your service.
Cool. All right, Mark, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you think is important to let the viewers know, or is that about it?
For any business out there, so we're starting to add crypto hedge funds. We're starting to add family offices, and if you are a hedge fund, so we've got hedge funds that will have, say, 1 or 2 people in Cayman Islands, a couple in the U.S., a couple in Canada, a couple in Asia. We can provide your entire team with iPhone 13 and above, dual eSIM, a U.S. mobile number, and they will be able to, and the world calling plan, and they will be able to act as if they are sitting in the United States and do business with each other, do business with people all around the world. And every one of them would have this U.S. mobile number and be secure. And so we're starting to grow there. But I think that about covers it. And I really appreciate you having me on.
Perfect, Mark. Thanks for being here. See ya.